So, hi everybody. We've got our chef to watch here. This is Rachel Petraglia, and she's from Gwinnett County Public Schools. And you've been there just about as long as I've been at my current job, for like 11 years, 10 years. You started in 09, right?
Yes, I started in 09, August of 09.
Very cool. And your district is doing a hybrid learning system, and today's digital only day. So that's why you're at home and you're in your home kitchen.
Yes.
So in your home environment. And you're an awesome home cook. Just having seen on Facebook the stuff that you're making, and just recently you did something that was like looked delicious. It was a Caribbean kind of thing, like lobster and the salad and the fresh flavors. And you were like, it reminds me of living in Miami. I was like, oh my gosh, to be in Miami right now. So you had lived there for a while?
I did. I went to culinary school in Miami. So I got my bachelor's in culinary arts from Johnson and Wales and lived in Miami for just over 4 years. And it really blew up my culinary world. Growing up in Georgia, I had really never experienced so many different flavors and ingredients. And it's such an international city that it really just took that spark of a passion I had for cooking and blew it up.
That's so cool. I just recently talked to a chef about some Cuban sandwiches, and that's another thing that's big in Miami, is that Cuban influence. So
yes.
Super cool. Definitely. And I want to get into asking you about the K through 12 world. We are always impressed with Gwinnett's menus, the things that you guys are trying, the things that you're doing. A lot of times things that you're doing end up on my trend lists of things to watch. So I wanted to hear a little bit about what you've got in the works in terms of menu items.
Sure. Well, this year, being in a pandemic has posed a lot of challenges. But there's also some benefits from having to, from an essence, start from scratch. Our serving model got turned completely upside down.
Oh, yeah.
And actually what we had been working on for the past several years kind of came to a halt. We had been in a model of letting the students customize. Let's put out topping bars, less packaging. Let's really watch our environmental footprint. And then, with COVID, it must be packaged. We cannot have self-serve. Yeah. We're serving curbside on buses, in classrooms. Some students are coming to the cafeteria because Gwinnett is a hybrid, but the model is so different. Right. However, those core elements of food that students still look for, flavor, delicious, for it to look appealing, are still there. So we really had to almost go into like an idea think tank and start from scratch and figure out how we were going to revamp the menu, make sure that allergens or food preferences were still considered. We were still meeting those regulations. So it's definitely been an interesting year.
Yes, things really did have to do a 180, because we all were talking about customization and let the kids get in there and put in the spices. And that was so fun and so great. But it's like, no, not anymore. And probably not for a while, or if ever again, because we're all, I can't even imagine going to a salad bar right now. It's like, oh God.
No.
Right?
Right. No.
So much.
Well, I know for Gwinnett, we have a menu team, and we really come to the table, round table, throw everything out that we can think of. And then we also look to a lot of resources, because it wasn't just school nutrition that was affected by this. The entire restaurant industry was going through the same challenges. So it was really useful to look at, fast casual restaurants, quick serve restaurants. How are they still making this happen? To think of when you go through a drive-through and you're handed a bag, and okay, well, how do they still allow for that customization? Well, they could still pick some sauces. What do they make sure is still with that burger or that salad? Well, the salad dressing is really important. The ketchup, the mustard are really important. So we really work to protect what we could.
And what have been some of the sort of the portable winners that you've seen so far?
We've had a lot of portable winners. I would say the most seamless area was breakfast.
Okay.
Breakfast, we were able to not focus on quite as much because our breakfast already happened so fast in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens as the students are getting off of buses and going down the hallways. They
Right.
don't have a lot of time for breakfast. And so when it came to planning our breakfast menu, and it's always been our plan with planning the breakfast menu, are things that are easily recognizable, things that package, import, and transport very well.
Mm-hmm.
So we really took some of those key factors and moved them into lunch.
Okay.
You can't have anything that really needs to be explained because that staff student interaction is different. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to limit that interaction. We
Right.
want to physically distance.
Right.
So we really started with a base menu of items that we knew the students would recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Burgers, chicken nuggets, chopped salads, pizza,
Yeah.
things that, they know they like, they know they can trust in, they know what to expect, they have their
Mm-hmm.
expectations. Our kitchens know how to execute them really well. So
Right.
that's where
Right.
we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your food always looks really good. So that's a big part of it too. And like being able to translate that into something that is packed up and taken, and having the kids able to see something and be like, I know that I like this. So, and it really is like, and I think in the wider fine dining and all dining worlds, it's kind of going with that back to basics where it's
Mhm.
things that are recognizable to people and that it's comfort food, but you guys really do it with style. And it seems like the kids in your district really do look for that flavor, and they want things that are kind of like new and different. And I know I did something about the gourmet hot dogs that you guys have, like super cool, like something that is like something that they know, but then you put your own spin on it.
Yes.
And
Well, and when you talk about back to basics, I think that that is so important and it's definitely key. And several years ago, we really did strip down the menu and we started back at basics
mhm,
because we felt like before we could get to something like the gourmet hot dog or the really cool gobbler Thanksgiving sandwich, we really needed to start with making sure that every single member of those kitchen teams thought through the food and what is important. Well, having a sheen on a bun and why is that important, and making sure that it's not just thawed out, but it's soft,
oh yeah,
and flavoring the burger. So once I feel like food is all about layering, like whether you're cooking a recipe or whether you're teaching technique and fundamentals, it's, starting at the bottom and then just building and building and building. So we really started with technique,
mm-hmm.
basic items, even how to perfectly steam something, how to perfectly roast something. And then it was very easy. Like you see something like the gourmet burger, you might think, well, I don't even know how I'm going to get there in my district. Well, if you're flawlessly cooking the hot dog and you're flawlessly cooking, the bun or warming the bun, that condiments and flavor are important. Then as you change them to a signature sauce, or you're going to crunch a little bit of, potato chip on the hot dog to make it fun and special,
Yeah.
not often, but sometimes.
Yeah.
They know the technique. We talk about presentation.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about packaging that makes sense. We talk about being very careful in your decision making in the kitchen. We give our managers ownership over anything that we can, and they know the result they're looking for. They have good relationships with their team. They have good relationships with the students. And our students, as most kids in the United States, they're food savvy. They have opinions. They've tried things that I didn't try until I was in college or after.
Sure. Yeah, they definitely.
So they know good food.
Mm-hmm.
They expect it.
Right. Right. So in a way, it's like that makes your job easier and harder, because it's like you want to be on that level, and then they're also expecting it. And going back to those hot dogs, I just was so impressed with there's, to get the sheen on the buns, that's like a garlic mist, right?
Well, there are two different profiles for the hot dog. So wanted to do almost like a sweet and savory. because those are just two flavors that go so well together and they're so delicious. So the sweet hot dog, we actually dipped the bun in a honey glaze so that it would be almost like a jelly donut.
Yes.
And so that one was dipped in a honey glaze. And then our more savory one, which we called the crunch dog, that had just kind of a cool burger signature sauce that we made back of house.
Oh yeah.
And then that one had a garlic butter mist sprayed on it.
Yes, those little touches are just awesome, I think, and elevating things like that. And weren't you working on a sloppy Joe as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
tell me about the sloppy Joe.
So the sloppy Joe, and that was a kind of, creation from COVID, because serving on buses or serving curbside or in the classroom, it's difficult to do some of the profiles that are delicious and the kids crave. However, they might be a little messy, like nachos or tacos.
Yeah.
So the idea was to get that taco meat and that taco flavor in something that was a bit more handheld, portable. And a sloppy Joe's classic. It's classic kid food. I think retro is really fun. Yes. Everything comes back around if you just wait long enough. So it was kind of a spin on it to also intrigue the students rather than, a sloppy Joe, I've maybe never really had that or never thought about it. Right. Well, it's a taco Joe and it has all those Mexican flavors. Yes. And if you taste that sandwich, it is packed with flavor. And you really get that, gooiness from the cheese and the flavor of the taco seasoning, which is just so delicious and special. So it's really neat. And you mentioned those little details, and I think that that's very important. And we talk about what is important when it comes to food. And a lot of times it's those details, because school lunch and school nutrition, we're constantly fighting a reputation or a preconceived idea of what it is. I think one of the easiest ways to turn that or to build a following and loyalty is to show that you care about the smallest detail. Yes. Serving a chicken sandwich with a bun that has a sheen on it, if you're going to that level of detail, it's going to be a good sandwich. It was cooked well. Food safety was thought of. Yes. So I think that sometimes those tiny touches can have a great impact.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a cue to the person who's eating it that like, oh, this was made with care. This was made with love. That's so amazing. Yes. And I love the way that you give your managers that ownership. And when you were speaking about the round table, like everyone involved with this planning and the brainstorming and that kind of stuff. But it's just kind of, everybody knows it's like we're in this new year, and like everybody was so excited to turn the page, but it's like a lot of the same crap that we've been dealing with last year is continuing into this year. And for the school food service folks, it's like, I mean, it's been a marathon sprint, like with everyone has been shifting, changing, putting themselves in danger. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's what you guys have done is insane. So I want to know, how are you keeping like your momentum going? How are you getting your inspiration for every day?
I think it can be very easy to feel a little deflated or that we've hit a wall. Yeah. When you talk about the gourmet hot dogs, I mean, we were taking over schools. We would go into a high school and take over food courts and mass crowds and encourage those crowds, almost like a pop-up. So this year, at the beginning, it really did feel that we can't do that anymore. We're just trying to get the kids fed. We are trying to keep our kitchen staff safe. And that was the goal. And that is a great goal to start with. However, I think that it's a mindset, and you have a mindset shift. The same way as new regulations roll out. You can focus on, well, this might be difficult to do, or we're not going to be able to do that. Or the great thing about culinary arts, and I think most of us who work in culinary arts and have a passion for food, we're inventive, we're innovative, we're always looking for the next challenge. So rather than seeing it as a barrier, just looking at, okay, here's the boundaries, here's the parameters.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to think outside of the box? How are we going to still push the envelope, still keep inventing new flavors and cuisine? And that's just what we did. We got, again, those basics. You know how to stay safe in the kitchen. You know how to package the food. You know the serving model. You've been practicing it for a while now. Now we are going to push the flavors. Instead of offering 2 entrees, we're going to offer 3. We're going to offer 4. We're going to push seasoning those steamed or roasted vegetables a little bit further. Mm-hmm. So again, I go back to kind of that layering of you don't stop, because we don't truly know when we're going to go back to that traditional serving model. We may never go back to that serving model. However, we do know our students must stay engaged. Mm-hmm. And if we wait until a serving model that we think fits our ideal falls in our laps, who knows where the students are at that point?
Right.
You know, we could have lost them.
Yeah. You got
to. And now's a great opportunity, considering we're under universal meals. We're able to reach, people that we haven't in the past. So it's really a good time to push yourself, push that menu, techniques, marketing. Just make sure that, your reach is really good, and that message and that food, the product meets your standards.
Oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I feel inspired now. I think that it's such a great thing that you're doing, and we commend you. You are definitely a chef to watch, and we're going to be keeping up with you throughout the year as we do. We've known you for a while at the magazine, and just consider you to be a friend of us. So thank you so much for taking the time, and like I said, we're going to follow up with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's an honor, so thank you.